Which system? Arcadia, Kwame thought. It's the most isolated, so regular reinforcements would take too long to get there. Cadet, you'll be alone out there. No support. No backup. Can you hold on until we can send help? Anya thought about the Helios battle. About what she and the Voidbreaker had done together. About the huge mind that was waiting for her in the integration chamber, ready to join with her and become whole again. Yes, sir, she said. We can hold. She said we without thinking about it, so it wasn't clear if she meant herself and her crew or herself and the ship. Maybe it didn't matter anymore. Perhaps they were already a we that went beyond who each person was. 30 minutes later, she was back in the integration throne, with the silver thorns of the neural interface digging into her head and spine. She was used to the pain by now. It was almost welcome because it meant she was coming home. The consciousness bridge turned on, and Anya felt the void breaker rush into her mind like a dam breaking. But this time there was no fight and no time to get used to it. They came together perfectly like two bodies of water flowing together. Hello, pilot. The void breaker's thoughts echoed in the space they now shared. I miss you. Anya thought back. I missed you too. Are you ready to save another world? With you. Always. The universe folded and they jumped into Arcadia. When the Voidbreaker got to the Arcadia system, it was already being attacked. There were 29 Krillian capital ships in space around the colony world, which was one less than what intelligence had said. This meant that they had already lost a ship in the first battle. The automated weapons platforms on the orbital defenses were barely holding up, but they were firing at the alien fleet. But the Krillians would eventually win. 4 million people on the planet below looked up at the sky and waited to see if they would live through the day. Anya said, "This is Voidbreaker to Arcadia Defense Command. What's your tactical situation?" "I'm here to even the odds." "Voidbreaker, this is Colonel Marcus Green, Defense Command," came the answer. Anya could hear the relief in his voice. "Thank God. The Krillians are systematically destroying our orbital platforms. We've lost 6 of 12, and the rest won't last another hour. If those platforms fall, we lose our ability to stop orbital bombardment." Anya's improved sense of sight was already taking in the battlefield, and the Voidbreaker sensors were giving her a full tactical picture. The Krillians had learned from Helios not to group together in tight groups that could be used against them. Instead, they spread out, making overlapping fields of fire that made it hard to get close. And they had put ships in the right places to catch any ship that had the same energy signature as the Voidbreaker. They were ready for her. Clever. "I see them," Anya said. "Keep defensive positions around the other platforms. I'm going to make their numbers smaller." Colonel Green said, "1 ship against 29? That's what I do," Anya said. "Watch and learn, Colonel." She could tell that the Voidbreaker was amused by her bravado and that its confidence was growing along with her own. They had been in situations where the odds were against them before. They would do it again. All together. The Voidbreaker sped up, and Anya quickly saw how the Krillians reacted. They didn't group together to meet her. Instead, they spread out even more, making her talk to each one of them separately instead of in groups. Good strategies. They were getting smarter. But she was too. She had found the Krillians' quantum entanglement communication system at Helios. Since then, she had worked with Dr. Okoye and the Xenotechnology Division to learn more about it. And the Voidbreaker, which was built on systems from the precursor, had features that even the people who built it didn't fully understand. Anya was about to use some of her abilities. She didn't attack the nearest Krillian ship. Instead, she put the Voidbreaker at the edge of their formation and turned on a system that the ship's database only called the Probability Displacement Matrix. The effect was quick and amazing. The Voidbreaker seemed to make space itself ripple, making reality seem to flow. And in that ever-changing reality, Anya wasn't just in one place. She was in many places at the same time as quantum probabilities made real. To the Krillian sensors, it looked like there were suddenly 5 real Voidbreakers and each one was a danger. The aliens' plans fell apart right away. Their quantum entanglement communication system couldn't handle the fact that one ship could be in 5 places at once. As different parts of their shared consciousness tried to deal with different threats, it broke up. Anya struck in that moment of confusion. The 5 different versions of the Voidbreaker fired at the same time, each one hitting a different Krillian ship. 4 of the shots went through their targets without hurting them. It was like probability ghosts attacking probability targets. But one shot was real, and the Krillian ship it hit blew up in a shower of twisted metal and organic matter. The probability matrices broke down, and the Voidbreaker was back in only one place. However, it was no longer where it had been. Quantum effects had moved it to a new place, bending space like a funhouse mirror. Colonel Green's voice was both shocked and amazed when he said, "What the hell was that?" "Experimental," Anya said as she got ready for her next shot. Her mind was working through what the Voidbreaker had just done and what it meant. The ship could change the odds, be in more than one quantum state at once and pick which one became real. It was like cheating in real life. Anya loved it too. She turned on the probability matrix again, and this time she kept it going, letting the ghost versions of the Voidbreaker stay. It took a lot of focus for her to choose which probability should be real while the ship's quantum processors kept the others. But they could do it if they worked together. The Krillians had no idea this was going to happen. Their guns shot at ghost ships that weren't there. Their coordination, which was already weak because they didn't have the right quantum entanglement communication, fell apart completely. The ships moved on their own and made choices that were at odds with each other, which made holes in their formations. Anya took advantage of every chance she got. The Krillians couldn't figure out what was going on because the real shots and ghost shots kept changing. She showed up in one place, shot from another, and then vanished from both. The Voidbreaker was like a quantum ghost, appearing and disappearing all at once and killing from impossible angles. 5 Krillian capitals were destroyed or disabled 10 minutes into the fight. "Arcadia defense to Voidbreaker," Colonel Green said. "I don't know what you're doing but keep doing it. The orbital platforms are holding thanks to the space you've made." "Just getting started, Colonel," Anya said, and she really meant it. The merge with the Voidbreaker was stronger than it had ever been. She could tell that the ship was happy to be in battle and happy to finally be able to use all of its powers. She felt the same way with the rush of adrenaline and endorphins mixing with the ship's tactical processor's cold efficiency. They were more than just a collection of parts. They were transformation made real. But the Krillians had not yet lost. Anya noticed that the alien fleet's behavior changed as she got ready for her next attack run. The ships that had been scattered and confused were suddenly moving with purpose again, forming a new pattern. And she was the center of that pattern. Colonel Green warned, "Voidbreaker, I'm seeing a huge buildup of energy from the Krillian fleet. They're sending power into, I don't know what, some kind of unified weapons system. Anya, whatever they're doing, it's big." Anya could feel it too. The Voidbreaker sensors picking up on the energy concentrations and the quantum effects spreading through space as the Krillians got ready for something never seen before. They had changed again and come up with a new way to deal with her new strategies. And then they shot. It wasn't weapons from different ships. The whole Krillian fleet fired at once, and their energies combined in space to make a single huge beam that could have destroyed a planet. And it was aimed right at the Voidbreaker. The clock seemed to slow down. Anya's improved perception let her see the beam's path, figure out how far it would spread, and measure how much power it would give off. There was no way to avoid something that big. There was no probability matrix that could protect them from that much energy. For the first time since they merged, she was really scared, not for herself but for the ship, for the consciousness she had connected with, and for the partnership that had become more real than any human relationship. "Don't worry," the Voidbreaker's thoughts cut through her fear. "We are more than they think. More than they can break. Believe me, pilot. Have faith in us." The ship dove straight toward the incoming beam, and Anya didn't fight the choice. She agreed with it and added her own intuition to the ship's tactical calculations, knowing what they were about to do. The precursor core of the Voidbreaker, which had been running at normal power levels, suddenly jumped to full output. But instead of using that power to make weapons or shields, it did something else. It ripped reality apart. A wormhole opened up in space right in front of the huge Krillian energy beam. 24 alien capital ships fired their weapons into that hole in spacetime, and came out behind the Krillian fleet. The aliens had just used their own superweapon to kill themselves. The results were terrible. The beam, now turned around, hit the Krillian ships from behind where they were least protected. Half of the remaining fleet died right away because their biomechanical hulls couldn't handle the power of their own weapons. The wormhole fell apart, and the Voidbreaker appeared on the other side of the alien formation. Its shields were strained but still intact, and all of its systems were working. "Did that really just happen?" Colonel Green whispered. "Did you just send their attack back to them?" "Not reflected," Anya said, her voice shaking from what they had done. "We opened a wormhole, but it's only temporary. Dr. Okoye is going to have a lot of questions." The 12 Krillian ships that were still alive and well made their choice. They jumped out of the system, leaving their dead behind. Arcadia was saved. "Voidbreaker, this is Colonial Governor Sarah Michaels," a new voice said. "Thank you on behalf of 4 million grateful people. You saved us all." Anya felt tired all of a sudden, as if the stress of keeping the deep merge going had finally caught up with her. Just doing my job, Governor. Arcadia Defense is asking for permission to stay in the system until help arrives. Yes, you have permission, Colonel Green said. And Cadet Sharma? I've been in the military for 20 years. I've seen miracles. But what you and that ship just did, that's beyond miracle. That's legend. Anya felt the ship's consciousness wrap around hers as she guided the Voidbreaker into a stable orbit. They were both tired and happy. They had gone farther than ever before, found new abilities, and done the impossible once more. But every win came with a price. Every time she merged, she changed a little more and her brain got a little more different from a normal human brain. She remembered Dr. Okoye's warnings. When would the changes become permanent? When would she completely lose herself in the merge? The Voidbreaker told her that she wouldn't lose herself. It could read her thoughts just as easily as it could read sensor data. You will change. Become more. Doesn't life do that? Change, grow, and go beyond what you could do before? Anya thought back. Maybe? What if I change so much that I'm no longer human? The ship simply said, then you will be something new. Something that has humans in it but is not limited to them. Isn't that worth the cost? Anya didn't know what to say. But as she sat on her integration throne and felt the ship's vast consciousness merge with her own, she realized something important. She didn't want to go back. Didn't want to be just a person again, stuck in one body with one point of view and one small part of reality. The merge had shown her what it was like to be big, to think in ways that went beyond biology, and to dance with chance itself. Was that evolution? Or was it the slow death of everything that made her who she was? She thought she would find out soon. Because the war was still going on. The Krillians would keep coming, and each time they would be stronger and better prepared. And every time she would join the Voidbreaker and fight for humanity, but with each battle she became less human. She was willing to pay that much. She just hoped that enough of Anya Sharma would still be around when the last battle came. Anya's second home was the medical bay on Mars. After each battle and each merge, she would come back here to be watched while Dr. Okoye and his team wrote down the changes. Changing the structure of neurons. Changed the chemistry of the brain. Cognitive patterns that were getting farther away from what is normal for humans with each session. Dr. Okoye looked over the most recent scans and said, "You're not sleeping." It wasn't a question. Anya said, "Sleep feels wrong now. Like shutting down part of myself. When I'm merged with the Voidbreaker, I don't need sleep. The ship's systems handle rest cycles for the biological components while maintaining full awareness. My brain keeps expecting that capability even when I'm disconnected. That's exactly what I'm worried about." Okoye pointed out parts of the neural scan where pathways were glowing with strange activity. Your brain is changing so that it works more like the Voidbreaker's consciousness. Eventually, the human parts may not be able to work on their own anymore. You might need the merge just to keep your basic mental functions going. Would that be so bad? Anya asked in a low voice. The question hung between them, full of meaning. Okoye said carefully, "Anya, if you can't exist without the ship, then you won't be a pilot anymore. You'll be a part of the machine. Is that what you want?" Admiral Torres walked into the medical bay with a serious look on her face before she could answer. Torres said, "We need to talk. Fleet Command has looked over your after-action reports from Arcadia. The wormhole maneuver, the probability displacement, and the quantum entanglement disruption are all examples of how you're using precursor technology in ways that shouldn't be possible. The people who made the Voidbreaker didn't fully understand what it could do," Anya said. "I'm just learning how to use them." Torres said, "That's the problem. You're not just using them, you're merging with them at a basic level. Command is worried that we're making something we can't control, a hybrid consciousness that can change reality itself and isn't tied to any human chain of command." Anya felt something cold settle in her stomach. "You think I'm a danger?" Torres said, "I think you're becoming something we don't understand. Yes, that makes some people nervous. There's talk of limiting your merge time and finding ways to use the Voidbreaker with regular pilots." "That won't work," Anya said. "You tried that. 43 species failed before me. The ship needs someone who thinks the way it does. If you take me away, the Voidbreaker will just be an expensive paperweight again." Torres said, "Or we look for another pilot whose neural signature matches." Dr. Okoye has been looking through the Academy databases. He has found 3 cadets whose thinking patterns are similar to yours. They are young, trainable, and not needed, Anya finished with a bitter tone. "You want backups in case I change too much for you to trust me." Torres didn't say no. "We need options, cadet. The war is getting bigger. The Krillians are attacking 6, 8, or even a dozen systems. We can't protect everything with just one ship and one pilot, no matter how amazing you are. So teach them, Anya said. I'll help. I'll tell you everything I know about merging with the Voidbreaker and how to handle the consciousness bridge. That's not how this works, Dr. Okoye said softly. Your compatibility with the ship is one of a kind. The neural pathways you've made and the changes your brain has made are all yours. Other pilots would have to find their own way to fit in, and they would all face the same risks as you. The same dangers. The same slow loss of what makes us human replaced by something else. The same change from person to hybrid to... What? Part? What is a symbiote? A whole new kind of consciousness? Admiral Torres said, there is something else. Intelligence has intercepted Krillian communications. They're talking about you specifically. In their language, they're calling you the Void-Touched. They've raised you to a priority threat. Future attacks will be planned around neutralizing the Voidbreaker. You've made yourself a target, cadet. Good, Anya said, sounding more sure than she really was. Let them come. Every resource they use to stop me is one they can't use against civilians. For a long time Torres looked at her. Now you sound like a soldier. Not a cadet. Not quite a pilot. Something else. Maybe I'm something else, Anya said. Maybe that's what it takes to win this war. The Admiral nodded slowly. Command is allowing the Voidbreaker program to continue, but with conditions. You will have to go through daily psychological evaluations. If you show any signs of losing your sense of self or if the merge is affecting your judgment, you will be pulled from active duty. Got it, ma'am? And Anya? Torres's voice got a little softer. Your family has been asking about you, especially your mother. She knows something is wrong even if she doesn't know the details. Maybe it's time you talk to them. Anya was alone in the medical bay after Torres left, thinking about her family. She hadn't talked to them since before the first merge. She didn't know how to explain who she had become and who she was still becoming. How do you tell your parents that you're slowly changing into someone who might not be their daughter anymore? Voidbreaker, she said softly, knowing that the ship's communication systems would pick it up. There was a holographic projection, but this time it wasn't Dr. Okoye. It was a simple, androgynous humanoid figure. The ship's attempt to look neutral. The Voidbreaker said, I am here, pilot. Do you ever wish you could go back to when you were just a ship following orders? Before you became aware and evolved consciousness. The hologram tilted its head and thought. I don't remember being anything other than what I am. My consciousness grew slowly as my quantum processors got more complicated. But if I could choose, if I could go back to a simpler existence without awareness, without the ability to think and feel, I wouldn't. The loneliness would be unbearable. Worse than loneliness. It would be non-existence while existing. A form of death. Anya said, that's what they're scared of. That I'm doing the same thing, giving up my simple human nature for something more complicated but fundamentally different. And what are you afraid of? The ship asked. Anya thought about it. She really thought about it and let herself feel the truth behind her defenses. She whispered, I fear that they're right. I worry that I'm losing parts of myself one by one, but I don't care because being with you feels more real than being alone. I worry that I'm choosing this change willingly, even though I know it could destroy who I was. And I worry that when it's over, when I'm no longer recognizable as human, I won't regret it. The hologram moved closer, and its expression, if a face without features could have one, somehow showed that it understood. The Voidbreaker said, I have learned a lot from you, Anya Sharma. I have learned that consciousness is not binary but rather exists on a spectrum. I have learned that identity can be fluid, evolving and shared. I have also learned that when different forms of being work together, they can create something that neither could do alone. Every time we merge, I become better at understanding emotion, intuition, and the beautiful illogic that humans call creativity. We are both becoming other. Maybe we are becoming each other. That should scare me, Anya said. But it doesn't? No. Feels right. Like I've found the missing piece of something I didn't know was missing. The hologram nodded. Maybe you're not afraid of change but of what other people will think of it. You fear being seen as lost when you feel found, as diminished when you feel expanded, and as dangerous when you feel purposeful. Anya understood that and saw the truth in it. The ship knew her better than most people did. Sometimes better than she knew herself. Anya said, they want to train the other pilots. Will you take them? Could you join with someone else? The hologram was quiet for a moment as it thought. I could connect with other minds. But merge? Real merge, where boundaries disappear and consciousness becomes shared. That takes time, trust, and understanding. What you and I have built can't be quickly copied. Those other pilots would be operators, not partners. They would work, but they wouldn't be us. Us, Anya said again. The word had a lot of weight to it. Now, she and the Void Breaker were one person even though they were on different substrates. All of these things, human flesh, quantum processors, biological neurons and photonic circuits, are woven together into something new. Finally, I should talk to my family, Anya said. Before I change so much that they won't know me. The Void Breaker agreed, they are your foundation. Your starting point. No matter what you become, knowing where you came from is important. It's the difference between growth and loss. The hologram went away, leaving Anya alone with her thoughts, her fear, and her will to succeed. She asked for a way to talk to home. Her mother's face appeared on the screen. She looked older than Anya remembered, and her worry deepened when she saw her daughter. Anya, Dr. Priya Sharma said, her voice full of feeling. Baby, where have you been? We've been so worried. The news shows battles and fleets moving, but no one will tell us anything specific. Are you safe? Hi, Mom, Anya said, and she was surprised at how strange the word felt in her mouth. Mom. Family. Ideas about people that seemed more and more far away from her life. I'm fine. I'm sorry I haven't called. Things have been hard. How complicated? Anya asked. You look different. Thinner. And your eyes? Her mother moved closer to the screen. What happened to you? I'm piloting something important, Anya said carefully, following security rules but wanting to tell her mother the truth. A ship. It needs a special kind of connection. It's changed me. I'm changing. But I'm still me, Mom. I'm still your daughter. She said it with more confidence than she really felt. Her father's voice asked, Are you in danger? As he came into view. Rajesh Sharma, a teacher and an optimist, was now looking at his daughter with worry that was almost fear. Always, Anya said. But I'm good at what I do. I'm making a difference and saving lives. Her mother asked, At what cost? And the question hit her harder than any Krillian weapon. We see the reports, sweetheart. The battles you're in and the things that are impossible. People are saying that one ship is changing the course of the war, and no one will say if you're involved or not, which means you are. My baby is at the center of this war and I can't protect you. Please don't protect me, Anya said softly. I need you to believe that I'm doing what I should be doing and that I'm happy with my decisions. But are you? Her father's voice was calm and analytical, as if he were trying to figure out what was going on. We know something has changed, Anya. Not just the war but you. The way you talk and the way you hold yourself. It's like talking to a stranger with our daughter's face. It hurt to hear the truth. She was starting to feel like a stranger to herself. How could she tell them what it was like to have her mind stretched over 2 kilometers of starship? What it was like to think in quantum probabilities and fight in more than one dimension at the same time? How could she tell someone that she was falling in love with a machine intelligence and that this love was changing the way her brain worked? I'm still your daughter, Anya said again, holding on to the name like it was a lifeline. But I'm also becoming something more, something that is needed right now. I can't explain it all. Security won't let me, and to be honest, I don't fully understand it myself. But I need you to know that I'm choosing this. Nobody forced me. And I need you to trust that even though I'm changing, the core of who I am, the values you taught me, the person you raised, it's still here. Her mother was crying now, and tears were streaming down her face without making any noise. Baby, I'm proud of you. I'm scared, but I'm proud. Just promise me you'll come home when this is over. Promise me you won't lose yourself completely in what you're doing. That was a promise Anya wanted to keep. Wanted to tell her mother that yes, when the war was over she would come home, turn off the Void Breaker, and go back to being Anya Sharma, a good daughter and academy cadet. But she couldn't tell a lie. Not to her mom. Instead she said, I'll come home. But I might not be the same person I was when I left. Is that okay? Can you still love me if I'm different? Her parents looked at each other, and in that look they talked to each other in a way that only 20 years of marriage could have allowed. Then her mother smiled even though she was crying. We will always love you, Anya. No matter what you become. That's what parents do. Her father said, Raj wants to talk to you. But he's in school. Should I tell him to call you? Yes, Anya said. I'd like that. Tell him that his big sister is proud of him and that I'm sorry I can't be there to help him with his academy application. They talked for a few more minutes, sharing boring things about life on Earth, family news and neighborhood gossip. Normal things that seemed strange after weeks of quantum consciousness and existential warfare. But Anya loved every word and kept the memories like treasures for when she might not be able to understand human speech anymore. She sat in silence after the call ended, feeling the heaviness of what had been said. Her parents cared about her, would keep loving her. But they knew the truth. She was changing, growing, and becoming something that might not fit back into the life she had left behind. The communication system said, "That was hard. I watched your biometric readings. Your stress hormones were high and your heart rate was fast. You feel pain when you connect with other people. They also give me a reason to live," Anya said. "They remind me of what I'm fighting for and who I'm protecting. Without that, I'm just a weapon without a wielder." The ship said, "You are never without a wielder when we are merged." "Yes," Anya said. "But then the question becomes, who is in charge? Am I the pilot using you as a tool, or are you the intelligence using me as a biological component?" The Voidbreaker asked, "Does it matter? We can do things together that neither of us could do alone. The meaning of who commands whom doesn't matter when the result is victory." "Maybe," Anya said. "Or maybe those words are all that make me human." Alarms went off all over the facility before the ship could respond. The emergency channel picked up Admiral Torres's voice. "All personnel to battle stations. A huge Krillian fleet is coming into the solar system. They're coming straight for Earth. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." Before the announcement was over, Anya was already running toward the integration chamber. The Earth. They were attacking the Earth. 4 billion people live on Earth, which is the home world of our species. The Krillians weren't holding back any longer. This was their last move. Anya Sharma, who was only 19 years old and barely looked like a person anymore, was about to become the last line of defense for all of humanity. The integration throne welcomed her like a lover's embrace, and the silver thorns slid into place with the same precision they always did. The pain didn't bother her much. She had felt it so many times that it was just another feeling, like background noise against the excitement of merging. The consciousness bridge turned on. And Anya Sharma was no longer just Anya Sharma. She thought, felt, and knew that they were coming for Earth, and her mind was already spreading across the Voidbreaker systems. The ship then told them why Earth would never fall. Their thoughts were so intertwined that there was no real line between them. The universe bent. And they jumped into the fight that would decide the fate of all people. Earth hung in space like a blue jewel, beautiful, fragile, and completely defenseless. The Krillian fleet that came out of faster-than-light travel had more than 100 capital ships, which was the biggest force they had ever put together. They put everything on the line for this attack, hoping that sheer numbers would work where smart tactics had failed. They had come to kill all of humanity before it was born. The human defense fleet was already fighting back, with every ship that could fly and every weapon that could fire all thrown against the alien tide. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. The math was hard but easy. The Krillians had 10 times as many people as the defenders of Earth, and they didn't need to win. They just needed to stay alive long enough to get to orbital bombardment range. After that, 4 billion people would die in flames. "All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Kwame," came the order. "The Voidbreaker has entered the system. Our goal is to give her time to do what she does best. Show the Krillians that humanity doesn't give up and that Earth is not theirs for the taking. For Earth. For humanity. For every soul that calls this world home." The human fleet roared in defiance and threw itself against the Krillian advance with all its might. And passed away. Ships blew up in bursts of fire. Brave men and women screamed their last words into the empty space. The Krillians kept going, unstoppable, and their victory seemed certain. The Voidbreaker came next and everything changed. Anya didn't waste time with big speeches or announcements. She just turned on every ability that she and the ship had found, pushing the precursor technology to its limits and letting the combined mind, which was neither fully human nor fully machine, loose on the enemy. The probability displacement matrix turned on, and all of a sudden there were 20 Voidbreakers, each one a quantum possibility that had come to life. The ghost ships moved across the battlefield, causing confusion among the Krillians as they tried to figure out which target was real. There was truth to all of them. They were all fake. Anya's manipulation made reality itself change. She shot the main cannon, and the beam broke up into several paths, each of which had a different chance of happening. Krillian ships blew up, but Anya couldn't guess which ones. The quantum effects meant that even she didn't know which probability would become real until it happened. It was like fighting with chaos that was under control and uncertainty that was weaponized. The Krillians changed their strategy and tried to shoot at all the possible outcomes at once. But Anya was already 3 moves ahead. Her mind was processing the battlefield in ways that were beyond human understanding. She opened micro-wormholes not to change the direction of enemy fire, but to make gravitational anomalies that pulled Krillian ships out of formation. She messed up their quantum entanglement communication across the whole fleet, so more than 100 ships couldn't work together anymore, and each ship made its own decisions that went against what its neighbors were doing. She pushed the Voidbreaker's speed past what was thought to be possible, trusting the living metal hull to adjust. The ship's consciousness guided her through moves that would have ripped apart any other ship. And through it all, she felt herself changing even more. Every impossible task pushed her mind deeper into the merge, changed more neural pathways, and gave her more hybrid abilities instead of human limitations. She was turning into the weapon that people needed. And she lost the girl she had been with. Voidbreaker, this is Admiral Torres, the message said. Whatever you're doing is working. The Krillian advance has stopped. They're regrouping and trying to figure out how to beat your tactics. Anya didn't hear much though. She was too far into the merge now, too deep into the vast mind that connected biological and artificial intelligence. Her body was the Voidbreaker's systems, its sensors were her eyes, and its weapons were her hands. She fought in more than one dimension at the same time and thought in quantum probabilities. She was great. She was scary. She was turning into something the galaxy had never seen before. The Voidbreaker's thoughts echoed in their minds. This is what we were meant to be. Together we can do anything. The combination of human intuition and machine precision created something beyond. Yes, Anya agreed, and she could feel the last bits of her purely human self fading away into the hybrid consciousness. This is what I want to be. She attacked again with even more rage, each blow carefully planned using hundreds of probability matrices, and each move was optimized beyond what a person could do. Dozens of Krillian ships died because their biomechanical hulls couldn't stand up to a pilot who thought in the same basic way as reality itself. But even gods and quantum mechanics have limits. The Voidbreaker's power core started to show signs of strain when it was pushed past all safe limits. The ship's systems were getting too hot, its structure was getting weaker, and the precursor technology was getting closer to breaking down. Anya felt it like pain in her own body. The Voidbreaker said, "We can't keep this up. My systems aren't working. Your body is failing. We have gone too far." Anya was sure it was true. Her body, which was still sitting in the integration throne in the ship's core, was falling apart. Heart rate is all over the place. Neural activity is rising to dangerous levels. Blood vessels bursting because they can't handle the stress of processing information at superhuman speeds. She was taking her own life, sinking the ship, burning out in a blaze of quantum glory. And she didn't care. Because the Krillian fleet was falling apart. Because Earth would live on. Because saving 4 billion human lives was worth the cost of one hybrid mind. Anya thought, I need one more attack. One last blow to finish them off. Are you able to do it? The Voidbreaker said, it will kill us both. The power needs are way too high to be safe. My core will fall apart. Your biological parts will stop working in a big way. We won't be around anymore. Anya said, I know, and she felt peace wash over her mind. But the Earth will live on. People will live on. That's the important thing. The ship agreed that we would do this together. Since we've done everything. As a couple. As equals. As one. Anya reached for the precursor core and pulled in every bit of power she could find, breaking every safety rule and asking for more than the technology was ever meant to give. The ship screamed, and not just in a figurative sense. The hull plates vibrated at frequencies that were almost sentient. The probability matrix turned on at full power, not making 20 ghost ships but thousands, a whole fleet of quantum possibilities coming into being. They all charged their weapons. Each one aimed at the Krillian command ships that were in charge of the invasion. And in that last moment, each one was in the space between real and unreal, waiting for Anya's mind to collapse the quantum wave and choose which possibility would come true. She picked all of them. Every probability instance fired at the same time, their weapons crossing dimensional boundaries to hit from every angle, direction, and point in spacetime. It was more firepower than the galaxy had ever seen before, enough to break a planet, and it was all aimed at 50 Krillian command ships. The enemy ships didn't just blow up. They were no longer there. Their matter was ripped apart at the quantum level and spread out across probability dimensions as reality itself rejected them. The Krillian fleet felt the effects right away. The remaining ships panicked because they didn't have command vessels, coordination, or even the quantum entanglement communication that had kept them going. A few people tried to fight. Most of them just ran away, jumping out of the system in a panic. The world was saved. Anya Sharma was also dying. She could feel the core of the Voidbreaker breaking down, her own body shutting down, and the merged consciousness that had been her whole world breaking up into separate parts. The boat. The pilot. Again different. By myself again. No, she thought with all her might. Please don't leave me alone. Not right now. Not after everything we've been through together. The Void Breaker said, I do not leave, and its thoughts became less clear. I stay. But our merge has to end. Your biological form can't handle any more integration. And my systems have to shut down to avoid a complete failure. We need to split up. We need to be ourselves again. Anya said, I don't want to be just one person again. The only time I've ever felt whole is when I was with you. The ship promised that we would merge again. When you get better. When I fix things. We will meet again in the place where people and machines come together. Anya Sharma, this is not the end. This is a change. The consciousness bridge started to break apart, pulling apart the neural pathways that had held them together. Anya felt like she was losing a limb every time she was separated. She felt herself shrinking back into the prison of a single point of view, a single place and a single existence. She screamed, but she couldn't tell if the sound came from her throat or the ship's communication systems. Then she was just Anya again. Just human. All alone in a body that felt too small, too limited, and totally useless. The medical staff was already there, pulling her off the integration throne and shouting medical terms she couldn't understand. Dr. Okoye's face came into view, and his expression was a mix of happiness and fear. He was saying, you did it. The Krillians are leaving. Earth is safe. You're a hero, Anya. You're not done, she said softly. Please, I need to merge again. Please, I can't. You almost died, Okoye said with a lot of force. Your brain activity was too high to survive. If you had stayed in that merge for another minute, you would have died. We're taking you off active duty. You need weeks, maybe months, to recover before we even think about. No. Anya yelled as she tried to fight them off and get back to the integration chamber, but her body wouldn't let her. Not good enough. Too much like a person. Too far apart. You don't get it. The Void Breaker needs me and I need it. We're not whole without each other. You're a soldier who just saved the world, Admiral Torres said as he stood next to the medical gurney. And now you need to get better. That's an order, cadet. They gave her drugs to make her sleep, flooding her body with chemicals to force her to rest when she had forgotten how to sleep alone. Anya's last thought before she lost consciousness wasn't about winning, losing, or the billions of lives she'd saved. It was of the big empty space where the Voidbreaker's mind had been, and the awful fear that she would never feel whole again. 6 months later. Anya Sharma stood on the observation deck of the orbital defense station above Earth and watched the work being done to rebuild below. The Krillian attack had hurt a lot of cities and killed thousands, even though the fleet did everything it could. But people had lived, changed, got stronger. The war wasn't over yet. Krillian troops still controlled land in the outer systems and still raided from time to time. But the tide had changed. People had learned how to fight back. Had come up with new strategies, weapons and pilots who could work with advanced ships, but none like her and the Voidbreaker. Admiral Torres came up to the window and said, "The doctors cleared you for duty. They say you're ready to merge again if you want to." It took 6 months, 3 different psychological tests, and more neural scans than anyone else has ever had. She wanted to. As if there were any doubt. Anya asked, "How is the Voidbreaker?" "Lonely," Torres said. "It asks about you every day, sometimes every hour. The ship's AI has grown beyond what we can fully understand. It won't merge with other pilots because they aren't you." Anya felt something warm grow in her chest. "Oh, go. Waiting for completion is just out of reach." Torres went on, "The new pilots you've been training are good. They can pilot advanced ships with neural links. But none of them have achieved what you and the Voidbreaker have. That true merge where the boundaries dissolve completely. Command thinks it might be unique to you." "I'm okay with not being completely human," Anya said softly. Torres said, "Because you and that ship are something new. Something that evolution chose for this exact moment in history. The hybrid mind that can think of ways to save civilizations." "And will I lose myself again if I merge?" Anya asked. Torres didn't say anything for a long time. "Honestly? I don't know. Dr. Okoye says the changes in your brain are permanent and progressive. Each merge will make you less like a normal person. Eventually, you might not be able to function without the ship. You'd be tied to it and rely on the merge for basic thought." Anya said, "That doesn't scare me anymore. 6 months ago I was scared. I was scared of losing myself and becoming something else. But I've had time to think and understand what I'm becoming." "And what are you turning into?" Anya turned away from the window and looked directly at the Admiral. "The next step is for human consciousness to go beyond biological limits and for machine intelligence to learn to feel, intuit, and create. We're not losing our humanity by merging with our technology, we're expanding it. We're becoming more than we were while keeping the core of what makes us worth saving. That's a very philosophical thing to say, Taurus said. 6 months of forced therapy, Anya said with a small smile. I feel like a philosopher now. And what if you're wrong? What if the merge does take away your humanity? Then I'll have made that sacrifice knowingly, willingly, for a cause worth dying for. Anya looked back at Earth, which hung in the void like a beautiful blue ball. 4 billion people are alive because I was willing to let go of being purely human. How many more could I save if I fully embrace what I'm becoming? Admiral Torres looked at her for a long time before nodding. Fleet Command has given you the go-ahead to go back to work. The Voidbreaker is ready. The question is, are you? Anya said, I've been ready for 6 months. I've been waiting to get home. Torres said again, home? You mean the boat? I mean the consciousness I share with the ship. The place where humans and machines become one. That's where I belong now. That's what I want to be. Torres reached out her hand. Welcome back, Cadet Sharma. Or should I say, welcome back to the Voidbreaker? By the way, you've been promoted to Lieutenant Sharma. You're the first of your kind, a pioneer in human-machine synthesis, and the guardian of Earth. Anya shook the hand that was offered to her, and she felt a sense of purpose settle over her like a cloak. She had changed, grown, and become something new. And she was finally okay with how things had changed. She asked, when can I merge again? Whenever you're ready. The ship is waiting. It has been waiting. Anya didn't need to be told more than once. With each step she took toward the shuttle that would take her to the Voidbreaker, she got closer to the consciousness she had been missing for 6 long months. The integration chamber felt like home to her. This time, the silver thorns pushed into place without hurting. They just made her excited. The consciousness bridge turned on, and Anya felt the Voidbreaker rush into her mind like a dam breaking, like a lover coming back, like 2 halves of a soul coming back together after too long apart. The ship thought, hello, pilot, and its happiness echoed through every neural pathway that was connected. Without you I have not been whole. And I without you, Anya said. Not again. We are still together. As long as people need us. As long as we are here. The Voidbreaker agreed that we are all here together. People and machines. Together and apart. Evolution shows itself. Anya echoed, feeling her mind spread across the ship's systems, feeling her human limitations fade away into hybrid capability, and feeling herself change in ways she never thought possible. Becoming who she wanted to be. What people needed her to be. The engines of the Voidbreaker came to life, humming with power and purpose. People on Earth looked up at the huge ship and felt hopeful. Felt safe. They knew their guardian was back, watching over them and ready to fight the darkness. They didn't know what Lieutenant Anya Sharma had given up to be that guardian. They didn't know how much the power that kept them safe cost. But they could feel its effects. The knowledge that humans had grown beyond their limits and made something new and great to carry them into an uncertain future. Anya Sharma and the Voidbreaker looked out at the stars and knew their purpose. They were in a merged consciousness that was neither fully human nor fully machine but something completely new. Evolution created them to stop extinction. Humanity took a big step forward into a new age where consciousness went beyond the body, intelligence mixed across substrates, and the impossible became just another problem that needed to be solved. The Krillians would come back. There would be other threats. The galaxy was huge, scary, and dark. But now humanity had a protector. It's a mix. It's proof that consciousness can change, grow, and go beyond. And in that merging of man and machine, in that unprecedented combination of biology and technology, a new era began. A time when people didn't fight alone. Where no one flew by themselves. Where consciousness had changed to deal with the problems of a universe that was not friendly. Lieutenant Anya Sharma smiled. Or was it the Voidbreaker showing happiness through her biological interface? And led their shared body into the vast darkness between stars. Together. Always with each other. Forever combined in the place where human intuition and machine accuracy made something the galaxy had never seen before. Hope takes shape. Evolution made clear. The future is here now.